Turning to Amazon, angry backlash from Governor Andrew Cuomo and other New Yorkers after Amazon canceled its second headquarters here under opposition spearheaded by Democrat socialist Alexandria Cortez. Democrats are upset with other Democrats over the loss of 25,000 new high-paying jobs. The Queens Chronicle, a local New York City newspaper, out with this headline, quote, "Stop the nonsense and take Amazon's $27 billion in economic growth." And this from former Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein tweeting out, quote, "After killing Amazon's New York City headquarters, not sure progressive Democrats deserve either title. This move was both anti-progressive, negative for development and tech jobs, and anti-democratic. Polls show 70% of New Yorkers were in favor. Victory lap for them, not for New York City." Connell McShane is in Long Island City, Queens, where that headquarter campus was supposed to be built, with more. Connell.
Well, Liz, in the end, it was the pressure from Ocasio-Cortez and those other local politicians that you referenced that led to Amazon pulling the plug on what was to have been a huge project, bringing its second headquarters here to New York City, right across the river from Manhattan in Long Island City, Queens, a promise of more than 25,000 jobs and high-paying jobs at that, we should point out, with an average salary in the neighborhood of $150,000. Now, the catch for that, of course, was that Amazon was promised billions of dollars in tax incentives in order to come here to New York, and that is what got under the skin of some of those local politicians. So Amazon, in its statement earlier, pointed to that, saying the local politicians have made it clear they oppose our presence and won't work with us. So they pulled the plug. Now, some of the local leaders, I think it's worth pointing out, were not opposed. In fact, earlier today on our live broadcast of After the Bell, I spoke to Congressman Gregory Meeks, Democrat who represents a neighboring district here in Queens, New York, and here's what he told me.
So I think it's, short-sighted for my colleagues that did not want it here, and short-sighted by Amazon for moving or for quitting so quickly. We should have both stayed at the table and worked this thing out.
Short-sighted is how Congressman Meeks describes the whole thing. And one of the surprising developments, Liz, I think to a lot of people, is that not only did Amazon cancel its move here to New York, it said it's not looking elsewhere. Instead of picking some other city, it'll move forward with a similar project in Northern Virginia. Remember, it had split its corporate headquarters, the plans for the second corporate headquarters between New York and Northern Virginia. It moves forward there, and with a smaller operation in Nashville, Tennessee. Liz, back to you.
Connell, what's really interesting is Alexandria Cortez and the other Democrats against this project are talking now as if nearly $3 billion, there's some $3 billion cash pile ready to go for, housing or for education. There was never a cash pile of $3 billion. It was tax credits over 10 years if Amazon hit their job targets, right, Connell?
Exactly right. And what's interesting about that, I was speaking to Assemblyman Ron Kim, who's a New York State Assemblyman, member of the State Assembly, who represents a neighboring district. He was live with us on After the Bell earlier today, and he's in that Ocasio-Cortez camp, the people who are against it. And I was making that exact point to him, or challenging him on the points that he was making, that it's not necessarily an either-or. Also, he is an advocate for local businesses, and a lot of people understand that. But just because Amazon would be coming here doesn't mean that local businesses would necessarily be forced out, the point he was making, or that if Amazon is leaving here, that somehow that money, that pot of money as he saw it, which as you say is just tax incentives, was then going to go to those local businesses, which is what he's advocating for. That won't necessarily happen.
That won't happen either. It's really striking, too, that Cortez and the Democrats against this deal were saying that, well, ICE, the Border Patrol guys have a contract with Amazon's cloud business. Amazon has hundreds of customers for its cloud business. It is a platform for 1 million small businesses. It helps create and foster small businesses. The final point I'd make is this, Connell, the criticism coming from Democrats against Cortez and those against it, they were arguing, Cortez and other hard left liberals were saying, well, New York taxpayers would be subsidizing Amazon's job growth. Well, they're happy to be subsidizing income for people unwilling to work in the Green New Deal, Connell.
I think what's also interesting here, and I was having a discussion with a local resident about this, actually more than one local resident earlier in the day, is that everybody kind of looks at this as or it turns out in many ways to be a zero-sum game.
Right.
But they were arguing about, say, the fact that we don't like what we see as corporate welfare. Well, okay, maybe you don't like what you see as corporate welfare, but now you have nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't as if you came out and said, well, we don't want to be giving them these tax incentives. Okay, well, now they're leaving, so now you're not getting the jobs that had been promised. So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for, and now, what many people are wishing for isn't coming. None of those jobs.
Great reporting, Connor McShane. Good to see you. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for your
Good
report.
to see you, Liz.
Let's get to another key development, another news on Amazon. Amazon is getting attacked today for reportedly paying no federal income taxes for the second year straight. Fox News' Doug McElway is in Washington with this part of the story. Doug.
Hi, Elizabeth. Amazon, as you well know, has been just a colossal success, transforming the retail landscape, speeding the demise of brick and mortar stores, and raking in huge profits. $11.2 billion in the year 2018, double what it made the year before. But it paid no taxes in either of those years. It got a tax rebate, in fact, last year of $129 million. And that has infuriated many on the left. Here's Bernie Sanders in a tweet he made yesterday. Our job, he said, demand large corporations pay their fair share in taxes so that we can rebuild the disappearing middle class. But it is all perfectly legal, what Amazon did. Remember this?
Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes.
That makes me smart.
That makes me smart, the man who was running for president at that time said. Thanks to the tax code, Amazon and many other U.S. corporations can deduct costs for research and development, as well as profits from stocks paid to executives. For most of its existence, Amazon has been exempt from state sales taxes, and it's able to leverage more tax breaks from areas where it wants to expand. That's what you were talking about with Connell. But New York's bag of incentives turned off many of those state politicians.
They did not need our $3 billion. They just chose to try and shake us down for it.
Rejected New York's offer today, prompting this tweet from Elizabeth Warren that Amazon, quote, just walked away from billions in taxpayer bribes, all because some elected officials in New York aren't sucking up to them enough. It is, though, a trade-off. Arlington, Virginia did win over Amazon for its HQ2 headquarters there. It expects to reap billions in increased revenue from Amazon's well-paid workforce. Elizabeth, back to you.
Thank you, Doug, for your great reporting there. By the way, to Doug's point, Amazon follows a tax code, as it says. It pays out a lot in stock-based compensation. That helps Amazon workers share in Amazon's success. It also lowers its tax bill. Amazon has also spent, to Doug's point, more than any other U.S. company on research and development. That lowers reportable income. Next up, angry reaction continues to pour in. Local New Yorkers were excited to see their home prices going up, including in the poorest neighborhoods. The housing market nationwide has been struggling, including in New York. But buyers started pouring in as soon as Amazon announced New York as its choice for the second headquarters. But all of that is now vaporized. Joining me now, Modern Spaces founder and president, Eric Benayam, with his tales. You've sold apartments already, right? What was going on here with the Amazon story, Eric?
Well, hi Liz, how are you? Well, as soon as the Amazon news broke out, obviously there was a lot of interest in Long Island City. There's been interest in Long Island City for years. A year ago, the neighborhood was named the fastest growing neighborhood in America. But once we started getting world recognition, people started flooding the neighborhood.
Are you hearing from those same folks that were looking to buy? Are they looking to get out? What happens now to those deals? What happens now to the local market?
The local market is going to be business as usual. This was a hot neighborhood 3 months ago before Amazon, and it'll continue to be a hot neighborhood.
Are you just being a real estate
Amazon.
Guy now? Are you selling your book there? I'm teasing you.
No. It's unfortunate, actually, for the neighborhood of Long Island City, for all the local businesses over here. One thing about Long Island City, it's a bedroom community, and people pretty much just come here to sleep. And there's a lot of businesses on Vernon Boulevard who have been suffering for years because they don't have a lot of the foot traffic that other areas like Manhattan have.
Eric,
and unfortunately
Eric, I just want to jump in. Eric, are you hearing not just from your fellow realtors, but also from businesses that they are upset that the Amazon headquarters is now gone? Are they upset?
They are furious. They're not upset. They are furious at all the local elected officials and everybody. The children of New York were a sacrificial lamb This is really devastating.
Why the children of New York?
Because there was an opportunity for 25,000 people to get jobs, 1,500 of those from Queensbridge housing. Now 25,000 people who won't be able to bring a check home or buy groceries are going to be on the unemployment line.
It's an important point. We've been reporting the total average annual salary, $3.75 billion total salary payout yearly, surpasses the $2.8 billion in tax breaks over 10 years, Eric. Is that what people are talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about the $900 million in annual revenue of taxes that were lost. No one's taking account how much sales tax was going to be generated from this. It's really devastating, and I have one message for Jeff Bezos. We want you here. We started a petition a week ago. Since the news broke, we've had over 200 people still sign that petition. We want you here. Okay. Let's try to make a deal.
Eric Benayem, realtor over there in Long Island City. Amazon now, Amazon. Eric, thank you so much for your reporting there. Really appreciate it. Now let's check.